one thing we are seeing in the market is this whole thing around recruitment is a bit broken. Clients are getting 400-500 resumes and they're like, I haven't had a chance to even look at any of them, and then they're just coming straight to us.
I think we're moving, personally, I think recruiters are moving into more of a concierge service because a lot of clients are using AI. A lot of clients are trying to do it themselves.
I don't think it's going to come and literally replace us because, again, relationship management is something it can't do. That's human to human. But right now, I think there's still a lot of value.
We get clients literally saying, your team is fantastic, your recruiters are amazing, you guys listen, you deliver.
What do you think, and I'm not preempting anything here, is the average life cycle of a recruiter? What's the importance of giving back? Like, why is that important? If you could tell every business owner one thing about their people, what would it be? Hi all, here we go again. Today, I don't need to introduce these two people, but I will for the guests here. I have Evelina and Sarah from Samuel Duganson. Did I fuck it up again?
We've had a few variations on that one.
What is it? How do I actually pronounce it? Because I was sitting there pronouncing it in the back of the Uber this morning going, I'm going to fuck this up.
Oh my God. The Samuels bit is easy. I'm the problem, Donegan, which is my husband's surname, which really annoys me, and I really should have stuck with my name.
Which one's better, Brown or Donegan?
Well, this is the problem. My maiden name is Brown. So I actually I got married so young that I actually, back in the day, you did change your name to your husband's name.
You two work so well together. Like the energy of just you two is just off the charts. Why do you two work so well together?
That's nice to hear.
I think we are yin and yang. That's probably something.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we have high energy, but then I think one is maybe a little bit more on the extroverted side, and I'm the ambivert. That's kind of the
read the world.
I'm probably a little bit more measured.
I'm just full extrovert. I don't have any degree of introvert in me. Whereas she's that true ambivert where she can kind of and you are high energy, but and it probably goes to play to our strengths when we joke about the yin and yang is that I'm probably naturally play in that big picture. I'm not great with detail, only when I want to be good with detail. Evelina is very across the detail. Like, for example, the accountants will send the, company statement and she's delved into it in minutiae and gone into great detail, and I'm like, oh yeah, it looks fine. So
Sarah looks at the big number. I look at all the numbers in between.
That's what you need in a recruitment company.
And you're right. We're lucky, and we've always said that it works really well because we balance each other out. And I think we've both learned.
Yeah. Well, we used to work together, so I knew what I was getting myself in for, and so did Sarah. So
that's true.
Yeah, starting the business, I think for us wasn't like, oh my God, how's this going to go? That wasn't the scary part in terms of working together. The scary part was we are about to become the CFO, the recruiter, the administrator,
the HR person.
That was a scary part. But working together for us was just like not even a consideration. So, we discovered when we got into business together.
Which is kind of handy. We discovered that we were both good at different things. So in sense of Evelina carries a lot of the load in terms of marketing and creative and that kind of stuff. I am certainly not that creative. I'm good with words, but context, colors, any of that sort of stuff. And then I sort of, tend to do a little bit of the, the finance, the legal kind of stuff, which weirdly is quite detail oriented. So
don't even get me started. What have you two had to change? Okay, you were friends, you were working together as colleagues, you started the business. What did you two have to change internally to become the people that you are today?
Sacrifices.
What did you learn?
Oh God, we learned a lot. We joked that we did an MBA in our first year.
Fuck yeah.
6 dog years. I mean, I laugh because when we first started the business, our business advisors said to us, well, you do know that the divorce rate in business owners is 50%. So they're basically one of you is going to be divorced.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring on a partner, especially in my space.
A business partner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we
started.
Often have said that
I could never have done this on my own.
But this is why you two work so well together.
Yeah.
A good business partnership is so
it is rare, touch wood.
Because you build a great business. How many businesses do you know that is a great business, but the business partners are raging at each other?
Hating each other.
Exactly.
One's doing more than the other. I think you guys do a really good job of sharing the workload.
Oh, there's never a doubt. I mean, in this nearly 8 years that we've been working together that, Sarah doesn't put 150% in, I don't put 150. Like we always say, this is our baby. It's literally
Yes.
we have been growing our
It's our
baby.
child,
So,
yeah.
you know, the baby needs to be fed and watered. And then when, you know, you have babies, when you have staff,
Yes.
that becomes a whole level of
It's
responsibility that you never have felt before.
What's your management style, sir?
I guess I'm naturally probably pretty empathetic. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I hold people to account, but I also take into account like what is happening in that person's world. You know, we're not in that era of when I first started working and you got told to leave your personal shit at the door, because what happens in your life impacts what happens in your work life. So, and your performance and things like that. So I probably am quite holistic in terms of understanding. And also like, I've been in their shoes. So, and both of us have, like, there's nothing I would expect the staff to do that I haven't ever done. And you know, we get this all the time. They're like, oh, how do I deal with this or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not the first time that's come up, you know, let me share my knowledge. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's you know, I think you need to feel, and I've had leaders and we both have leaders where they're kind of like, they probably, I guess this is the challenge. They're so far removed from what you're actually doing, they forget what it's like to be in your shoes. So I think I always kind of have that front of mind as well.
What have you two struggled with running a? I'm just curious what you guys have struggled with.
I mean, we went through this thing called COVID, so that was
I vaguely remember that.
That was something that we wow, that was an interesting time. I guess for us, it kind of forced us to do things a bit differently, which actually looking back now are probably things that have paid off.
Yeah.
But during that period, it was a struggle when it was just Sarah and I basically doing everything and not being able to hire because we were stuck at home. So for the first few years, it was very much working. When I say 24/7, I think we slept, you know, a few hours a night, but we literally worked our butts off until we could hire. And then once we were able to hire, the momentum kind of started. And the hardest bit then was who to hire and when to hire, because when you're so small and we've always thought it would just be the two of us. So that first step of hiring was actually
call us naive, but we literally were like, no, we'll just do this. Like, I mean, we went into business with no.
So you just thought it was going to be the two of you. That was it.
Yeah, we never
we were just pissed off. We were pissed off with our boss. We were like, we can do this. We'll make more money together. Let's just do this. And that is literally the extent of our business plan. Like, I swear to God.
It was over a bottle of wine.
We were a bit drunk at the time.
Well, I love that.
There was no big plan concept. It was just, and then we were like, we're actually quite good at this. I mean, you know, but we actually, and the reason we had to hire was because we were working ourselves to the bone. And the thing is, we had to do everything. We had to do the finance, the marketing, the invoicing, this. It was like, you know, there's no accounts team. It's just like, we are it. And our clients, 100%. And then that is therein lies the next challenge, as you pointed out. How do you get people to deliver to the same level of quality that your clients expect from you? But we can't be doing everything. And also we know people learn differently, and that's probably been a bit of a learning as well from that side of things. And people are going to have different run rates. Some people are going to be more successful quicker. And, you know, a small business is an interesting kind of entity, as you would know. Like, one person can completely upset the apple cart and the culture, and you've got to be really careful. What is it? What is it? Fire fast, hire slow.
How do you two take like feedback from the market to your team? Like, you know, client rings in and says, "Oh, we're dealing with so-and-so recruiter. Just give you FYI." How do you go about that?
Fortunately, we don't get many negative calls, which is pretty good.
I'm hitting the table.
We probably get the opposite. We get clients literally saying, your team is fantastic. Your recruiters are amazing. You guys listen, you deliver. So we don't have.
Cut a long story short, we've got there now, but the hardest part is getting people to come into a business when it is just you and like, are you guys legit? All that kind of stuff. So, but what we have done, and I think, you know, we're recruiters, so you'd hope we'd get this right. I think we know what works in a sense, and we've been very deliberate to actually not follow a pattern. If you think about our team and you look at our team, we've got people that have never recruited before. We've got people that
I think they're the best recruiters.
Yeah, we specifically didn't want to take from like our competitors because we just didn't want that carbon copy. And also, what happens in a lot of recruitment firms, you take a top biller out of one firm or, you know, top salesperson out of a real estate company, and they just don't fit the culture, or it doesn't work. So creating our own a little bit, but also thinking, I think what we focused on is just the traits. The traits is the thing, because they're the things that you can't change. You can train someone with the technical, but the behaviors and the traits don't change.
What do you look for in a trainer? Like, what are sort of attribute when you're hiring someone new for the company, right?
I think
what are you looking at?
Positivity is massive for me.
Positivity, having that curious mindset. So someone that, kind of wants to learn, ask questions, isn't just like, for example, a client calls through a job brief. It's not, I'm going to take the order and just go and fill it. It's like someone that wants to understand the ins, the outs, gets under the hood with our clients.
Ask better questions, get better answers.
Yeah, 100%.
What else do you look for?
Service mindset.
What do you mean by that?
So they've got to understand that our role is servicing the customer, and sometimes you might not agree with the customer. But at the end of the day, we are there to deliver the solution. And as much as we might personally not agree or judge or whatever it might be, at the end of the day, we're here to provide a service. So there's that kind of degree, and also that the customer pays the bills, and that's why we have a job. So that commercial kind of reality.
The markets are changing at the moment, right? A lot of clients are doing in-house, but I have a lot of clients coming back to me after doing in-house going, whoa, we're not going to do that again. What are you guys seeing at the moment? Because you guys are in a completely different sector to what I'm in. And I'm very curious to see what you're seeing at your end of town.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I
mean, it's still very much a perm heavy market, but I reckon that's the shift that's taking place. So we're already seeing that in terms of more contract roles coming through. That contingent market is definitely going to start to change. And, you just have to sort of, look what's happening in the world. Everything's so uncertain. There's so much volatility out there that businesses are risk adverse, and who can blame them? So I think it's a market that will continue to evolve, but also you got to think about the disruption of AI and what that's going to cause in terms of hiring and how that's going to look. So we're in a very interesting time at the moment.
I just made my first placement with AI.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah.
So I have AI that goes through the database like Pac-Man and Pac-Woman, just chomping through, hey, you looking for work? And we had someone in the database. Funny enough, I'd only just spoken to them a month earlier. That job that they went to, perm job, didn't work out. Came back, database, the AI then spoke to him, said, yes, this is not, came out, brought him back up to the surface. We then engaged with him again and placed him a week later.
Yeah, nice.
People think that we're going to have like AI doing recruiter job. I think
no, I agree.
I played around with AI on new business development.
Yeah.
As in just reaching out to new clients.
Sure.
Zilch. Nada, nothing, blah, 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 blah. Or really weird roles that we're
AI can't do relationship management.
But what AI can do, and we're finding it very good, is it's very good for candidate development. Yes, I'm looking for work. No, I'm not. Inactivate, and then it'll just, so basically what it's doing is reactivating and unactivating.
Yeah.
Hey, you're inactive in our system. Are you looking for work? Yes or no?
Yeah, easy.
And that's great.
Yeah, it's a binary. Yeah. It's very simple and easy. With at the moment, one thing we are seeing in the market is this whole thing around recruitment is a bit broken. So what's happening is every man and his dog has got some fancy, particularly in the white collar space, they've got an amazing fancy resume. When clients then actually go talk to that person, it doesn't match up. So clients are getting 400-500 resumes and they're like, I haven't had a chance to even look at any of them, and then they're just coming straight to us. So it's creating, and candidates are getting frustrated because they're getting an automatic rejection because the ATSs are set up with potential bias in them, etc. So the executive, that senior white collar market, very interesting space.
So recruiters need to use. I believe AI is going to help recruiters do their job better, but also it removes the excuse for recruiters not to build their personal brand.
100%.
I don't know what to post to LinkedIn. No excuse. I can get you 10 top chat. One of my recruiters, I've got Trent sitting here. We've had this kind of week. What are the topics that we should be talking about on LinkedIn? Bang. Go build something on that.
Oh, 100%.
In our business, we basically said anyone that joins us from the consultant level needs to be comfortable.
Your recruiters post very well.
It's good feedback. We'll share that with them.
Has that foundation always been there?
Yeah,
100%.
Why has that foundation always been there with the recruiters?
Because we basically did it from the get-go, and it was, again, going back to that time of COVID where we didn't have FaceTime with our clients. So remember the old days where you had to go out to a client visit?
Where you weren't allowed out of your house to meet someone?
I had to physically meet someone in their office to have that meeting with them.
Yeah.
we couldn't do that. So Sarah and I thought, well, we've got to basically have a business that's 1 year old, I think,
Well,
at that time.
well, actually, to go back even further, we had restraints. We had 6 months restraints. So the only way at that point, we were like, how the hell do we get out that we're a business? We just started posting on LinkedIn, and it was when
Canva launched, and I said
that's right.
Said to Sarah, I'm going to learn this thing called Canva. So I basically started playing in Canva, and I was doing the marketing. Sarah was doing the comms, and then 4 months later we launched the business, and we continued with this whole Canva thing, and no one was doing it. So I thought, okay, let's just see if this leads to anything, and not doing Seek. We've never used
we've never used Seek,
job advertisement. So we just thought, let's go.
I did notice that. I've never seen your brand on Seek.
No.
We made a conscious decision in terms of where we were willing to invest our money, and we just bet on LinkedIn, and we made the posting a really big part of it. And
so personal branding and business and company branding, so brand.
And not just posting like shit, like actually putting relative commentary around that. And I think that just and the brand has just kind of evolved. And I think the thing is, like, most recruiters, like, they're pretty boring.
Now you guys said something to me just then, which definitely, like, LinkedIn was your platform, and it still remains to be your platform. But as you've just said, platforms change, algorithms change.
They sure do.
What other mechanisms are you using at the moment to promote?
Well, we're doing a bit of work with media at the moment, which is...
I have noticed that, and that was going to be, are you working the ABC, yeah? Do the post.
Just did the ABC, we've done the AFR, we've done the HRD, we've done a few in the last few weeks, which were very pleasantly surprised.
Why were they pleasantly surprised?
Well, because like with everything we do, we never actually know if we're going to get, any traction, or whether it's actually going to
make sense.
If someone's going to want to hear from us. So,
what do you think is the number one perception that clients think about you guys? So if I went and interviewed your clients, what's the recurring theme that they would tell me?
I think it kind of goes back to that, we know our shit.
Yeah,
of course you know your shit.
We
you wouldn't be here if you didn't.
But we also we can back it up. We can back it up with data, with insights. We can consult back, as opposed to we will provide that feedback. We will give them honest, realistic expectations as well.
And I think we're known for doing that with candidates as well. And I mean, if you think about like our patch or our space, our clients are our candidates. So they're either wearing one hat or the other. And I think that's part of our business philosophy, is that we see you as one person, if that makes sense. And I think also, we're not afraid to be really transparent about stuff. And this was exactly what was in the AFR article. I was basically saying, look, it's really tough at that exec market. If you've been earning $500K and you've lost your job, you're probably going to be in the market for a year or two, kind of thing. And then there was another exec recruiter saying, oh no, the market's actually really good, and blah, blah, blah. And it was just kind of like, that's absolute rubbish. And the amount of people that reached out to me and went, he sounds like an idiot. I know what you're talking about because I'm experiencing it. So, there's a lot of, sales and fluff and, smoke that's blown up people's butts in this space. And I think just by being actually really honest.
Why do you think that is?
Hey?
Why do you think that is?
Because people, like, they want people to like them. They want to transact in their sales, and it's that classic, like, selling this and then that snake oil delivering that. So I think we've become known for actual, like, okay, I might not like what you're telling me either as a client or a candidate, but it's actually true and it's backed up by what's happening.
And sometimes candidates and clients will often say, you're the first recruiter that's ever said that to me. And that just blows our minds, because it's stuff that they should be hearing from other people.
You know your excuse me. You know your craft very well, which gives you the backing to say what you want to say without the worry if this client or candidate's going to engage with you. Because there's always going to be another candidate. There's always going to be another client.
100%.
Has this always been your mantra?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yes. And I think we're lucky in the fact that, we have worked in organizations where like we learned from good leaders that, you know, you never work with a client that doesn't respect you, is rude to you, etc. Like, you know, we do value what we do. We don't want to be the cheapest in market. We're not. We don't want to be. So that whole thing of like what we do is actually a really quality service. If you're not prepared to respect us from that perspective, well, we're happy to walk away. And we absolutely have walked away from quite a lot of work where we feel that there's not an alignment. Maybe it's an ethical or moral alignment, or they're just not respecting us from that side of things. And look, you might say as a business person, that's crazy. You're leaving money on the table, but it's our reputation. It's the reputation of that we get known for. So that's also something, again, we've never quivered from that.
We have a reputation for working with good clients. We, you know, work with clients where we feel that we can place a candidate there who will have a positive experience, as opposed to work with someone who we know has a toxic culture and put someone in that culture knowing full well that it's like that. That's just not something we would ever do.
It is hard saying no to business when you need the money.
Absolutely. And I think that's why a lot of businesses, and particularly in the recruitment space, they do it. They cut their fees. They're desperate for money. I mean, we've seen Hudson has gone insolvent, you know, Hayes, Page, all the guys, they're not doing well at all. So that's when you start getting this crazy sort of behavior.
And you know, if you've in this game long enough, you see cycles, right?
Oh, yeah, always.
Yeah. Where do you think the current Melbourne cycle is at the moment? You guys are known for telling the truth, being direct, not holding back.
It's funny, and I say this all the time. It is
Why?
The market is so unpredictable right now. Like, gone are the days of having like a 5-year strategy. You can't even have a 12-month strategy. You're probably going to tweak it 3 times before.
6 months.
So yeah, as best, and you'll tweak it 3 times before that happens. I think where we're at, I mean, obviously, so where we are right now, I do think, look, with the I think the volatility is not going to go away. I do think it's going to be sector-led. So I think there's sectors that are going to do very well, and at this point in time, it's things like healthcare, infrastructure, energy, defense, telecommunication, technology to a degree, not SaaS. All of those sectors, really hard to offshore, really hard to outsource, and they're capital intensive, so they need people. I also think it's size of business, and we say this all the time. Gone are the days of that big multinational. Globalization's dead, pretty much died a long time ago. It is that.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah. The glory days of like, yeah, we're going into every region. Just nah. Look at the geopolitical state of the world. It's just a nightmare. So very hard to do business in multiple jurisdictions. So I mean, we're lucky that we're positioned next to Southeast Asia, because that is the growth corridor. That's literally the only growth that's happening in the world at the moment. So, but it is literally that small to medium enterprise. It's 500 to 5,000, because it's too difficult to pivot.
You know, the amount of people I have coming from those corporates and saying, you know what, I want to work for a good, nice not-for-profit where there's good people doing good work, there's purpose, my values are aligned. I might take a 20, 30K pay cut, but I'll be happy.
I agree with that. Business needs to be flexible. It is changing. And I'm not just talking working from home or that. Talking about that. As a high growth recruitment company that you guys are, what are you feeling that you're going to have to change in your management style, be more flexible with recruiters' hours? I'm struggling with it, actually.
To hire, or just like the team is like, it's the social contract that's changing.
I'm struggling a little bit with that, because at the end of the day, we've got to service our clients. Anthea has come back to me after maternity.
You need someone to do delivery, which is literally 24/7.
Correct.
Clients are not going to wait because you're not working.
How are you guys managing with delivery? Because it sounds like your market is changing at the moment, and like new players are coming in all the time.
It's interesting. Like, so there's pockets within the business, if that makes sense. So the market is like real estate. There's pockets within pockets. So there's certain pockets that'll be more reactionary at the junior end of the market, super reactionary, right? So you literally need a bunch of full-timers to service that market. The exec market, super slow. So things don't move slowly. So there's diff from that side of things. Now,
don't even get me started.
It just makes things so complicated. And the reality is, you're trying to be profitable, you're trying to employ people, but like, you know, part-time just doesn't work for our business. And we've been really like 3 days a week, we just can't do it. We just cannot do it because what it means is that somebody else in the team has to carry that load. It just is a nightmare that clients get annoyed because they're, well, why am I talking to this person, to that person? So I think it's a real challenge, particularly in our life, really complicated. It's not an easy answer. Different generations want different things out of, what that looks like. But I always go back to, at the end of the day, we live in a capitalist economy. We've got to make money to pay the bills. Like that's what it comes down to. And I think there's a little bit of this kind of, in some certain generations, I think it's just like, oh yeah, I'll always have a job. And I'm kind of like, well, actually, that might not actually be the case. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's just this, we're in this weird kind of situation at the moment where it's like some people are just ignoring the big kind of elephant over here and not, because you look at,
it's fine.
yeah, everything's okay. Don't look under
it's
the surface.
all good.
Don't look at the P&L. Don't worry about how much debt we're in. Like,
I think we've lost the art of debate.
Civil debate.
Yeah.
Oh, we're heading down this. Like we have never had an argument. We disagree.
Bullshit.
I swear to God, we are the
We've
relationship
never had
and
an
the
argument.
parents that actually stay together. Like we might disagree about things, absolutely, but we've never had arguments.
But we're also very good at saying, hey, you know what? I just got to tell you about something.
Oh,
Do you give each other the silent treatment?
No. Oh my God, I can't shut up. She gives me feedback all the time. I feel like I get more from her than the other way around. No, I'm joking. No, we're very good.
Because I'll say it because I remember it. You just forget it. So
it's actually true. She'll annoy me and they'll be like, I need to talk to you about that. No, I'm joking. We've always been very open with giving feedback. Like, hey, this. And I think we're naturally very good. And that's probably why we are good leaders and we are good with people, because we can do that stuff without people getting upset. And they like it just
and hence why we've
blows
seen
my
a
mind.
drop off of people wanting to be people leaders. Like
And
that's fact.
I completely agree with what you said there. You said about leaders, right? What's the difference between a great leader and an average leader?
I think something that we've had to learn, and again, just as the business has matured and as we've matured, is to actually know that we've hired great people, and it's about empowering them. Like I think there's this whole thing of, the whole letting go, but it's like, I think when you've got great people, you've got to learn to let go, because when you have been doing everything and every role in that business, you've got to remember that those people are there because they're great at what they do. You've hired them for a reason, so empower them.
Can you tell who's having trouble letting go? I'm joking.
No.
I'm teasing you.
I think it's taken time for the both of us.
Oh, 100%. Because you can do it better and you can do it quicker, but that's not the point. They'll never be able to do it if you don't share. I think the big thing for me in leadership is EQ. You have got to understand people. People are not robots. So you need to look at the big picture.
How do you understand people? Understand people.
I think
talk to them.
Okay.
You actually need to understand them.
But I actually don't think everyone has that one
not at all.
Specific trait, which is also that kind of that intuition. And you're very good at reading people, and it's the piece of what they're not saying, the bit that what they're not saying.
I can always read a room, and whether I've got spidey senses or whatever, I can always tell something. I'll be like, I need to go and talk to that person. Literally, something's. And I probably just can read people well. I think that's not everyone has that, and unfortunately, I think a lot of people get promoted into leadership roles because they're technically great. We see it all the time, but they shouldn't be leaders.
I asked Sarah this question before, and I'll ask it you. What's your management style? Because I asked, and then we got a massive loop, and then I want to come back.
Come back to me. I think my management style is that I'm pretty inclusive. Like I like to, I'm not a dictator. I'm not like, do this. Like I always like to have people come in with their own ideas. I like to be someone that they feel they can come to as well and be really open with their, feedback. And I'm very good at taking feedback as well. So I want to, again, going back to that word, empower my team to do their job, but also know that they're safe to come back to me if they have questions or if they're stuck or if they want to give me some feedback as well. I always want to work with them as I
have a new friend here. Great problems, this, that. And if you don't check in, they're eventually going to Chernobyl on you.
Yeah. Did you say Chernobyl?
Blow up and then Chernobyl and blow up and then just leave up radioactivity everywhere through the office.
I love that. That's hilarious.
And you can, in a small business, you can often spot it, but I think in a larger business, that's when you've got to have more frequent one-on-ones.
But we literally like, I'm just transitioning out of leading the team, but like we would have one-on-ones every fortnight. But even in between then, I'd always be like checking, kind of like just spending that time, because you're right, because things can go from okay to not okay. But as a business and as a team, we catch up twice a week, on a Tuesday and a Friday, literally for half an hour, just to chat where things are at, where the work in progress is at, because that's where we uncover those issues. We can't just leave things for 2 weeks and then go, oh, okay, how's everything going? So there's always that opportunity to,
I remember I was actually sitting working from my couch, and obviously shit was going on because I was probably multitasking 10 different things. And I was talking to a client and I was talking to Sarah. Sarah sends
Keep it together, Sarah.
Sends me the P&L or something like that. And then I went to respond, and I responded with the P&L to the client.
A photo of our P&L that she meant to send to me, but she texted to the client instead.
It was actually the report. It was the P&L report.
You were busy, for fuck's sake. At least you were.
I was like, when it happens and you just go, oh shit, and then you're like trying to recall, and you're thinking, no, that's not going to work. And then I just really realized that, well, it's actually not such a bad P&L. So
we were doing well at that point.
We're doing well.
And you're financially stable.
Exactly. We're not
Did you do business with this client?
Yeah.
Yes, of course it was a client.
It was a very good client. It was a very nice client.
Yes. I'm a very forgiving boss. So I let her off with a warning because I did something just as bad. I messaged, this is COVID. Clearly we were all losing the plot. Instead, we basically found out that we had pitched against one of our big competitors for a role, and it was a big role. I think it was $350K. Anyway, but it was going to be hard. It was difficult. I don't know. Anyway, difficult skill set. Anyway, I thought I was texting Evelina to say, hey, we didn't get it. Probably would have been a bit of a shit show anyway. I was texting that to the client. So I was like, that adrenaline, that fight or flight sick feeling of just like, I think one of our colleagues used to say, like, when your butt cheeks sweat, like literally that's that feeling. Oh, like I haven't made touchwood one of those in a while, but there's always tomorrow.
Did the client reply?
No, funnily enough, they did not reply. But we heard via the loop that like they had a giggle about it. So yeah, and it was a motherfucker. So
I thought I was forwarding an email internally saying that this client is a piece of and we are never to. And I was on a rant. I was on a very direct rant, and I was replying. But here's the funny thing: the client came back
and said,
"All is forgiven."
Haha.
With me, haha. You were right. I think that's us as recruiters. Clients think that we don't have the right to tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's like, hey, this job's bullshit. You've got a culture issue. Why have you got a culture issue? Are you going to address the culture issue? I have a saying in my company. I'm not the fucking oracle.
Yeah.
100%. We're not here to solve your shit.
Clear communication. I mean, but this is the thing when you're selling people, tough stuff happens all the fucking
and people
time.
lie. Like literally, like
really?
good old
people lie.
Good old Uncle Greg Savage, that always says like candidates lie and clients lie.
Clients lie too.
And it's our job to unpick and uncover. And half the time it's like, I know about your problems before you come to me, so don't go putting a shiny thing on it, because I know exactly what's going down. And I think that's the part as the recruiters, I think that's what we do really well. That's where we actually, make a call around, actually, are we going to work with this client? And I know that's really weird to do that, again, as a business, but it saves us so much heartache in the long run. And we're not afraid to call clients out and go, actually, this is what I've heard. Is this true? Or actually, because again, what I think we do really well is we get the truth from our clients, because we tell people exactly, okay, it is a shit show. They know it's a shit show. I'm telling you it's a shit show. There's no surprises. If you opt in to a shit show, then I've been super transparent. That's your call. Do you know what I mean? We don't hide stuff at all. You can't.
Yeah, and brand reputation today is so important. So that's our brand and that's the client's brand. So we always say to the client, we are here to represent your brand, but also representing our brand. So we do need that transparency. And to Sarah's point, if it is a shit show, just tell us, and we can manage.
We'll find out.
And also, some people are okay with a shit show. They don't mind something messy. Just be honest. Everyone's got shit to deal with.
There is calm in the chaos.
Yeah. But that's our job to find the person that's going to survive in that chaos rather than someone that's just going to go, no, sure, basket.
Well, this gets back to what I was saying before about recruiters becoming a concierge service. Our job is to find that person.
We're matchmakers. We are literally matchmakers.
Yeah. And it's a really important skill, and you only develop that skill from time being a recruiter. You don't learn it.
You don't wake up and you just instantly know all that stuff.
And I was like, it takes years. We've got a great recruiter who's just clocked 3 years, and
congratulations.
I'm like, you now are like, that's your apprenticeship served. 3 years at least.
And there's a few scars there now, and we've got a lot of scars, and it's just a case of, once you've been doing this for so long, I think, like the battle wounds, like they stay with you, but they stay with you in a way that you kind of feel, you know what, I'm ready to go into battle again if I need to, because I've been there once or twice.
I used to hate dealing, people wouldn't believe it now, but I used to hate dealing with clients about things like when they didn't want to pay the fee, or they're arguing this or that or something difficult. Now I'm like,
for more money.
Now I'm like, game on, let's do it. Because I've built that experience
your armor is
100%.
Like you get that no. And then as soon as I know, they say no. Okay, we're doing the deal. Because fine, great, we've got to the no. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Why did you say no?
Yeah.
Oh well, your fee's too high. Why is my fee too high compared to what? Do you need a contractor solution instead of a perm solution? Oh no, we need a perm. How much pain are you in? We're in a lot of pain. Okay, so you need that and that, and you're arguing with me because of that.
Spot on.
Yeah. 1-2%, is that going to really make a difference to all of that?
What if that provider who's cheaper than us, what if they don't solve your problem and they make it worse? What's the value then? They don't think about that stuff.
What I do, and it freaks clients out. So go to the other client, go to the other company, go to the other provider. When it goes to shit, you've got my number.
Yeah.
And I just say, take care, I got to run.
Yeah.
What do you think, and I'm not preempting anything here, is the average life cycle of a recruiter before they have to do something else? Like become a manager, become a senior,
just being an individual contributor.
See,
I get it's a hard question to answer.
See, I was doing individual contributor for 5 years, and I've done people management before. So I was actually really happy as an individual contributor prior to obviously starting the business. So for me, I could have kept going, but the bit that was missing for me was the learning. So I knew that I wasn't going to learn from growing into another management role.
Yep.
It had to be something completely different, like starting a business. But I think for a lot of people, I actually think that sort of 3 to 4 years is where they get the itchy feet.
Yeah.
And unless they're learning something quite different, they're going to start to. It's just, how, if you're a decent biller, and you know that every month you're going to hit your targets, and it just you start to become a consultant, not just a recruiter, like a proper consultant. I think that's when you start to want more.
Yeah, and I think the longer you do this job, the easier it gets, which obviously makes sense. But I also think, so I think people in this new world, in this new economy, etc. I think you constantly got to be upskilling in terms of diversification. And what I mean by that is if you don't know AI, figure out AI. All those sorts of things. I don't think you can sit there and go, oh, well, I've got my degree and I've got 10 years of experience. I don't need to worry about learning anything new.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I was just going to say though, but there's got to be a bit of, I think some people, there's this expectation of it's just all going to come to me. Whereas I myself from experience will know that you've got to go out there and seek those things. Otherwise it's not going to come to you. So if you're sitting there not putting your hand up for new things or, wanting to go out there and get mentoring or whatever it might be, you're going to get left behind. So you're going to have to also want that.
I also think you need to be able to demonstrate the ROI. I think that's the biggest thing. The shift that I've seen as a business owner, you actually realize holy shit, I never thought about the fact that anyone can lose their job at any time. That's the reality, right? I think, the people that do really well actually demonstrate the value that they bring of why you shouldn't lose your job.
You just brought up something there. What is your ROI? return?
As for me.
As in, like you said, it's got to bring ROI. Well, what is your ROI?
For me, it's like they need to be either it's financial, so there's that. It's building capability, so they're building their own capability, which is adding value to the business in maybe a non-monetary way, if that makes sense. And I think it's also like that social ROI. Like, what are you bringing to the team, to the table? Like, we've just had someone go on leave for a week, and someone was like, a couple of people like, oh my God, we really miss Kelly. She really brings such a vibe to the office. Do you know what I mean?
So that's nice feedback.
But do you know what I mean? It's that sort of like, if someone just comes to work and sits in their corner and doesn't fucking add anything, and I'm like, okay, we're a really close-knit team. That's massive. You can't come in and just be like that. So for me, the ROI, yes, financial, but it's a bit more than that, because I don't want someone who's a really great biller who's a brilliant jerk and pisses everyone off. That's not an ROI I want.
It's a tough call. Tough call.
Yeah.
What do you do about the brilliant jerk? That's literally every sales business's problem. We don't have any, and I don't want any. They're not worth paying.
It's like the industry. The industry has got a reputation,
It's like real estate, used car sales. So it's, and so on one hand, it actually doesn't bother me because it's so easy to stand out when you're good, because it is a low bar.
I always say focus on recruitment fundamentals.
And this is the challenge. I was talking to, the PR firm about that. What are they calling it? Doom jobbing. So basically, instead of doom jobbing. So basically, doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, people are like basically doom jobbing. And what that means is basically because it's so easy to apply for jobs, they're applying for like 10, 30 jobs at a time. And someone said it the other day, and they were like, I go back to the thing of like, I only apply yesterday, just a senior candidate, I only apply for a job I really want. I was like, God, I wish everyone would do that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's too easy now to just put in 1,000 applications.
I do have a question for you. What's keeping CEOs up at night at the moment? You deal with a lot more CEOs than I do.
There's not a job you want right now.
God,
why not?
A lot of pressure on CEOs, and it's coming from the board, which is coming from the shareholders. Really hard to run a listed company right now, because you've got the societal pressure. You have got, particularly if you're a consumer brand, like you think about like Dan Murphy's, Big W, Officeworks, all that kind of stuff. There's just so much compliance and regulation. There's AI, there's governance, there's a lot, the IR framework, that's a whole kind of piece. And then workforces are complicated. Like, they're not productive. We know they're not productive. We're in a real problem because stagflation is literally nipping at our heels. I think there's a lot for CEOs to be worried about, a hell of a lot.
And also skills, like you look at the skills of today versus the skills of the future. Like, where do you start with that?
What skills do we need for the future?
Wow, this is
resilience, agility. Like, if you cannot get those things, because we're heading into very interesting territory. And I think that resilience piece, if people haven't got it, and I think, what I struggle with, the first time a lot of people are hearing no is when they come into the workforce, when their boss is like, that's not right. And that's a generational thing. So, teach your kids to deal with a bit of resilience and hear the no words, because in the real world, not everyone gets a medal, right, for participation. You get high performers and you get low performers and everything in between. So don't let that be the first time, because they are not going to be able to handle it. And that agility to go, the career you thought you were going to have might actually be completely different. And, the uni degree that you studied 4 years and paid $50,000 for, guess what? They might not need those people anymore. Software engineers.
Yeah, I think AI is going to definitely change the workforce, which we're already seeing, obviously, businesses with automation, businesses changing some of those entry-level roles, but also with offshoring. So some of those roles are cheaper overseas. So we are seeing that the workforce is having to change and upskill to, I guess, stay relevant.
I couldn't agree with you more. Since becoming recruitment business owners, what have you learned about yourself, and what have you been surprised about yourself?
I need to pay attention to that.
Because if you react to everything,
I think there is a little bit of that letting go, and to your point, not having to be across absolutely everything, because before we would have to be, like, I'd have to know everything, so I would have to know everything. Now, I think having that mental space to just separate yourself, to go, okay, let me think about this and not have to think about everything, and actually take time out of the everyday grind. And the one thing that we keep saying, you know, especially now as the business is growing and, you know, we've got a bigger team, like it's so important to get out of the weeds to actually have that space to go and think about where do we want to take the business? You know, what do we want the business to look like in 2, 3, 5 years? Because when we were in the weeds, it was like every month, every year was just the same. And we're just like, okay, yeah, we're in year 4, year 5, year 6, but what's actually happening? And now we're actually able to start to step away and think about the bigger picture.
And getting on the balcony as opposed to the dance floor. And I'd always heard that saying, but it actually, it's only now that I go, oh my God, that's so important, because when you're on the balcony, you can actually see that person's about to get in a fight. That person's sniffing coke. When you're on the dance floor having fun, you got no clue what's going on. Do you know what I mean? You're in this, but you got to step back. So that's hard to do when you don't have enough resources because you got to keep firefighting over there, and that's really urgent. I need this and blah blah blah. So that's a lot. I think what I've learned, or what surprised me, is that and I didn't think about this when we started the business, is you stop learning. And what I mean by that is not learning by like, you know, of course you learn things all the time, but like I'm not reporting up to someone. So I don't have someone to tell me that like, oh, actually that's wrong, or you should be doing this. So my learning kind of is limited to a degree. I can get learning from other people and all that kind of stuff and get exposed to, but I'm kind of like, oh crap, I'm not learning anymore in terms of my job. So that's been something I've had to really focus on. Okay, I need to research, or I need to do this and make sure I don't want to be like sitting still and not learning anything, because that can be a little bit like, I think a lot of founders or a lot of CEOs or bosses are like, I'm the best, I know it all, that's why I'm running the business.
Don't get high on your own supply.
100%. Do not believe the hype.
And I've done that.
Yeah. We've always said that. Do not believe the hype. Even when we go, oh my God, you guys are amazing. I'm like, yeah, well, you can turn very quickly. And don't get caught up in that ego shit.
But also one lesson that we learned probably the hard way was that we stepped away from the weeds at one point for too long, and we missed things and we missed important things. And then we realized we have to go back into the weeds to fix
the ship has sailed.
And getting the right people in the right roles, and people will leave. Like that's just, you know, you just got to come to terms with that it's not personal. It's just part of that. I think the other thing we've learned is that I think for a long time we felt like we needed to get validation from external sources in terms of business advisors, and you need to get a board, get a this, get a that. And then, we're lucky we work with a brilliant advisor at the moment, who another, network kind of put us in touch.
Circle of influence is really important.
Yeah, so important.
And you've got to audit it.
And it'll change as your business grows.
Yeah, and you've also got to earn certain people to have into your circle of influence. You can't just start a business. I want you, and you. You kind of
so true. It doesn't work like
that.
Yeah. We've been asked about diversifying into different disciplines, and at the end of the day, we need to stay true to ourselves, which is that HR, people and culture, that's what we live and breathe, and that's what we know. And if you start to go into different verticals, you're again competing against others that have probably been doing it a lot longer than
100 lot longer.
So many times we've seen people try and do another vertical and it just doesn't work. And the other thing I would say probably is, nobody knows your business as well as you do. And someone said that to us, and I'm like, oh, that's such a good point, because you get all this advice from external and they're like, oh, they know this, they're an expert. People that are, maybe like been there, done that. Little girlies, we know what's going on here, blah, blah, blah. And actually going, you know what? And actually, and not taking that for gospel, actually debating back and going, well, actually, I don't think that's going to work for us, or whatever it might be. So it's taken us 7 years to find a business advisor that we actually trust and we feel like, you
synergize with.
You're going to date lots of frogs in that space, and that's I think that's the hardest part as a business owner, because it is isolating. Nobody else knows what it's really like. Nobody in the business knows what it's like, and you might network with other business owners, but their business is completely different to yours and has different challenges, and it's really not the same.
But we set out to do recruitment differently. Like we didn't want to be, a previous agency, 2.0 or Michael Page 2.0. So the way that we have done things intentionally have been different.
What's the importance of giving back? Like, why is that important? I know it's a big philosophy of both of yours, but giving back to the community. Why is it so important for both of you?
It's
paying it forward. I think it's brilliant.
She's crazy.
Who says you're crazy?
I did it. I started doing it I mean, obviously I love the movie and the whole concept of it. I'm like, I'm a bleeding heart. So I'm like, if you look at like I'm an ENFP. So at the end of the day, I always put myself in other people's shoes and I'm like, oh God, how awful would that be to have a child with this, or whatever it might be. Anyway, the way it kicked off was, it was literally start of COVID, and they were like, this is going to be the most, disruptive thing to the economy. It's going to be like the fucking, it's going to be terrible, blah, blah, blah. And people were losing their jobs left, right.
I lost 97% of my business in 10 days.
It was awful. And it was just horrible. And and I've lived through a couple of recessions, and it was giving me GFC vibes when literally I was just like, oh, fuck.
I actually went to my GFC game plan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a game plan for GFC.
100%. We had to create one. I
started a business in 2008.
I just knew that we were in a position to help, even if it wasn't, directly helping us as a business. I've got to do what I can. And lots of people were doing bits and pieces, but I was basically just like, let's just get these jobs out there. And
we've got a strong network on LinkedIn, and we thought, let's try and spread the love.
It's impressive, actually.
Thank you. I know that not all organizations can afford a recruitment fee. At the end of the day, I deal, there's two sides. We deal with the candidates. So I know, and a lot of them say to us, they're like, oh my God, I got the job through one of your pay it forwards. And I'm like, awesome, that's great. If that puts me in good light, cool. Maybe you use me as a, I want to be respected. That's my biggest thing. I want to be respected for doing a good job and being known as a good person.
It's very spiritual, as in like, you're putting a good intention. Someone's getting a job out.
We're racking up our good deeds for when we cross over to the other side.
It will pay back to you in other ways.
You do good things, good things come back. But there's nothing, I think for us, we also work in the HR profession. So, it is a somewhat, quite tight community. And we would like to think that, every little bit helps. So if someone is in a position to use an agency, like Sarah said, then that's maybe when they'll think of us. But we're not there to, to get anything out of it. It is just literally spread the love and give people the opportunity to find work.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. Sadie's like, right on, guys.
We've all been in recruitment for a little time. What's some of the most memorable things you've done in recruitment? Yes. And what is maybe some of the biggest mistakes you've done? Equally.
I don't know about you, but I still get a buzz every time I help someone get a job. It never dies. Like they're so excited, and you're like, oh my God, the client's happy. Like it's life-changing. Like what we do, helping people get jobs, they go home and they tell their partner or their family, their parents, like it's massive, right?
Yeah.
It's actually a really big deal. That never gets old for me.
I think for me, being recognised last year for best HR recruitment agency in Victoria was, I think,
Saucer Awards,
yeah. So not paid. It was all, done by customers. That was a pretty
like Saucer.
Yeah.
Because it's legit.
It's legit.
Exactly. It's customer feedback.
So that was a huge achievement, and one that we were so not expecting. And I don't think we even knew that we were up for it. So
can I just interrupt? Because we literally were having the shittiest week, and just that morning a whole bunch of bad things that happened, and then we were in the meeting, we were in our weekly meeting, and I think was it Brit or someone just popped in the Teams chat. It's like,
oh yeah, by the way,
guys, we've won this award, and it was like, oh thank God, something went right.
I mean, for us, 7 years having the business, to be recognized like that was pretty incredible, and the people that made that possible as well, which is the team, which is our team.
100%.
As we wind down this podcast, and it has been I've thoroughly enjoyed today's chat. If you could tell every business owner one thing about their people, what would it be? Would it be like the way that they should set up their businesses, the way they should manage their people? What's the one thing that you would tell all the business owners out there that they could?
If you had the opportunity to rehire your team, if you wouldn't enthusiastically rehire all of them, then it's time to have a performance conversation.
Interesting.
You're not doing them any favors, and you're not doing yourself any favors, because a business can only be as good as its people.
I think mine would be to not get too caught up with all the noise. And obviously, like we were talking about, the recognition, everything is really important. But, the numbers also tell a story. So remember to look at your cash flow and not get carried away with, the revenue, because you've also got to look at what's going out of
your
the business
and your responsibilities.
Yeah, and your overheads often is where people can
especially
get caught
top
out.
line versus
having an eye on those financials every day.
And I'd also say, like, you need to be. It's a bit like a parent and child relationship. Like, you don't want to tell the kids exactly how much they're costing, and they're not bringing in any ROI. But I think you do need to have that degree of honesty. And I think that's one thing that I probably didn't really understand when I was an employee. Like, you don't just, doing your shit kind of thing. But like, to understand that, like these are all the costs. Like, you might, you got to, that, and then sure, there's that amount of money, but 25% has to go to the government, and then another 30% has to go here, and another, like, to pay for operate. Like, I think it's just, and I think it's such an important skill for people to do it. So I think that's a big thing, that, like, it's just understanding life and understanding how a business works and how a business makes money. I'm always really big at, how does your business make money? The amount of people I interview and they're like, oh, I don't really know how the business makes money. And I'm like, okay. Like, that's a critical thing. I think every business owner would do a favor if they actually just, when people understand stuff, then they can get behind it. Because, your boss is like, oh, we've got to meet target or blah, blah, blah. They don't understand why and the mechanics of what that means. I think it's
or they might see harder. The revenue and they think, oh my God, they're making so much money. They must be so rich. It's like,
do you know, like 10% of that we might get to touch. So I think when people understand things, I think that's also important.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And that's one thing I would say Evelina has been incredibly good at. She is extremely, both of us are to a degree, but you're
the opposite. As I said, you're 100%. The idea, your operations.
I'm buying
and that's why you guys work so well together.
I'm spending all the money. She's going there, hang on a minute. We've always been super fiscally conservative. Because we take it very seriously that we are employing people and paying their mortgages and their rent. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not like, I remember sitting down with a founder probably a few years ago and they were like, oh, it doesn't matter. We just hire people, and if it doesn't work out, we just make them redundant. And I was just like, oh, okay.
You know why they said that? Because it's not their fucking money.
Yeah. And I'm just
they've got some backer, or they've got so,
not cool. And I
can never do that. I'd rather not pay myself.
What's next for you, ladies? As in, you've got the company to here. What's next?
Global domination.
Yeah, we definitely want to expand. We want to expand the business in terms of geographically. We've got business in Brisbane and Perth and Sydney, but we want to expand our client
good markets to be in.
Base there. Yeah. And look, Melbourne's been amazing for us. And I think we've got such a strong following here, which we're very appreciative of, but I think it's time. 8 years.
And you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Well, it's, we get it. It's, again, we get so many clients going, oh, wish you guys were in, Queensland, Sydney, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So, and I think, look, probably COVID made us realize it's like, oh, actually, because we were recruiting all over the place and doing it from home, like maybe there's that. Don't get me wrong, I think you still need boots on the ground to a degree, but I think you can. The world has changed. It's opened up a little bit, if that makes sense, in terms of not having to physically be somewhere.
There's always room for good recruitment practices.
Yeah.
Like, there's always room. It doesn't matter how saturated a market is. Yeah. There's always room for that. And I've seen that time. And I agree with you with actually everything you've said today.
Great.
Well, ladies, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Did you have fun?
Yes,
fun.
Good.
Oh my gosh, it's like walk down memory lane, isn't it?
It's fun
to do it together. We've done them separately, but it's actually really cool.
No, this is really good.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks, Tavis. Thanks, Tavis. Thanks for having us.
Thank you all.
Thanks, James.